It is 3 a.m. You are wide awake, and something inside you already knows why. Pause. Let that land. Do not move past those words too quickly. Sit with them for a moment. Because if you have ever found yourself lying in the dark at 3 in the morning, staring at the ceiling, with your mind running like a machine that refuses to shut off, then what I am about to share with you is not just philosophy. It is something you have already been experiencing. You just did not have the language for it yet. Today we are going inside one of the most overlooked psychological phenomena in human experience. The moment of 3 a.m. Not as a problem to be solved, not as insomnia to be treated, but as a signal, a message, a door that Stoic philosophy has been trying to help humanity open for over 2,000 years. And by the time this video ends, you will never look at a sleepless night the same way again. Deep breath. Settle in. Before we go further, if you are new here, welcome. This channel exists to explore the deepest rivers of Stoic thought and Stoic psychology and bring them into your actual life. Not as abstract theory, not as motivational filler, but as living, breathing tools for the human mind. If that is what you are here for, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit the bell, because we release these videos regularly, and every single one is built for people who are serious about understanding themselves. The subscribe button is right there. Do not wait. Let us get into this. 1. What is the 3 a.m. signal? Let us start with the most basic observation. Why 3 a.m.? Why not 2 a.m.? Why not 4 a.m.? Why does something about the territory of that specific hour carry such a distinct psychological and even spiritual weight across cultures, across centuries, across completely different traditions of human thought? Expression, tilt forward slightly, lower voice. I want you to think about this genuinely, not as a philosophical exercise, but as a real question you can ask about your own life. Has 3 a.m. ever felt different to you than other hours of the night? Has it ever felt like the walls were thinner? Like something was closer than it normally is? There is actually a physiological reason for this that Stoic psychology, when properly understood, maps onto with remarkable precision. Around 3 a.m. in the human sleep cycle, the body is in one of its deepest biological transitions. Cortisol, the hormone associated with alertness, stress response, and wakefulness, begins its climb. Body temperature begins to shift. The REM cycle is winding through its longest and most vivid stretch. The brain is technically doing some of its most intense work precisely at the moment when the world outside has gone completely silent. In other words, at 3 a.m., the internal world becomes louder than the external world. And for a Stoic, that is not a coincidence. That is the entire conversation. Expression, measured, deliberate. The Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, and the broader tradition they inhabited, were obsessed with one central question. Not, how do I become successful? Not, how do I feel better? But something far more radical. Something that sounds simple until you actually try to live it. The question was this: what is actually happening inside me right now? They called the practice of examining this question the discipline of assent, the ability to pause between stimulus and response, the ability to look at what the mind is presenting and ask, before acting on it, before being swept away by it. Is this true? Is this mine? Is this worth my energy? And 3 a.m. is perhaps the single most powerful moment in human daily experience when that question becomes unavoidable. Because at 3 a.m., you cannot distract yourself the way you can during the day. The phone feels different at that hour. The television feels hollow. The refrigerator offers nothing. The social media scroll feels strangely desperate. Every distraction you reach for at 3 a.m. reminds you, by contrast, of the thing you are trying to avoid looking at. That thing, that signal. The Stoics would say, stop running. Sit down. Look at it. 2. What Stoicism actually is, and what it is not. Expression, shift posture, more grounded. I need to pause here because if we are going to talk about Stoic psychology seriously, we have to clear something up that has been muddying the waters for years, especially in popular culture. Stoicism is not about suppressing your emotions. Say that again with me, slowly. Stoicism is not about suppressing your emotions. I do not know where this version of Stoicism came from. Actually, I do know. It came from a misreading, a lazy cultural shorthand that turned a profound psychological system into a kind of emotional armoring. But it is almost the exact opposite of what the Stoic philosophers actually taught. When Marcus Aurelius sat in his tent at night, writing the Meditations, which were never meant to be published, by the way, they were private notes to himself, he was not suppressing anything. He was feeling everything. The grief of watching good people die in war, the frustration of governing an empire alone, the anxiety of his own mortality, the loneliness of power, the love for his family, the fear that he was failing. He was feeling all of it. What he was practicing was not the absence of feeling. What he was practicing was the refusal to be unconsciously controlled by feeling. Expression. Pause. Let that distinction breathe. That is a completely different thing. And it is the distinction that makes Stoic psychology one of the most sophisticated emotional frameworks ever developed by the human mind. Epictetus, who had been an enslaved person before becoming one of the most celebrated philosophers in the Roman world, taught this with particular sharpness because he had lived it in the most extreme possible conditions. He could not control whether he was enslaved. He could not control whether he was physically harmed. He could not control the cruelty of others or the injustice of his circumstances. What he controlled was his inner response, his interpretation, his assent. He said, "Some things are in our power and some things are not. In our power are opinion, motivation, desire, aversion. In a word, whatever is of our own doing. Not in our power are our body, our reputation, office, and in a word, whatever is not of our own doing." Now, bring that framework to 3 a.m. You are awake. You cannot control that. The thoughts are moving. You cannot stop them by sheer force. The feeling in your chest, that low hum of something unresolved, something unnamed. You did not choose it, and you cannot dismiss it with a command. But what you can do, what you have always been able to do, is how you relate to it. That relationship, that is the practice. That is the entire practice. 3. The architecture of a sleepless mind. Expression. Become more intimate, like you are speaking directly to one person. Let me describe something to you. Tell me if this is familiar. It is 3 a.m. You woke up for no clear reason. Maybe you remember the edge of a dream, maybe not. For a moment, maybe just 2 or 3 seconds, there is a kind of blankness, a neutral, almost pleasant emptiness. And then it begins. The mind reaches out, like a hand in the dark, and finds something to hold on to. A conversation you had last week that did not go the way you wanted. A decision you made 3 months ago that you are still not sure was right. A relationship that is slightly off in a way you cannot quite name. A financial worry. A health concern. A fear about the future that feels both very specific and entirely shapeless at the same time. The mind grabs onto that thing, and then it begins to run. What if? Why did? What am I? How could I? What does this mean? What is going to happen? What am I supposed to do? The thoughts are not random. That is the thing the Stoics want you to understand. The thoughts are not random. They are not meaningless noise generated by a glitching brain. They are signal, expression, lean in. In Stoic psychology, the technical term for this automatic, unexamined movement of the mind is phantasia, often translated as impression or appearance. The Stoics observed, with extraordinary precision, that the mind is constantly generating appearances, representations of reality, interpretations of events, stories about what things mean. These impressions are not the things themselves. They are the mind's version of things, and they can be wildly inaccurate. They can be catastrophic distortions. They can be projections of past pain onto present neutral situations. They can be rehearsals for disasters that will never happen. But here is the crucial part, and this is the move that separates Stoic psychology from simple positive thinking. The Stoics did not say, just replace the bad thoughts with good thoughts. They said, examine the thoughts. Look at them directly. Ask whether they are true. Ask what they are actually made of. Ask what they are asking of you. Because some of your 3 a.m. thoughts are false, and they need to be seen clearly so they lose their grip. But some of your 3 a.m. thoughts are true, and they have been waiting, patiently, persistently, for you to stop being too busy to hear them. The 3 a.m. signal is often the soul's last resort after a day of being ignored. Expression, pause, let that sit. 4. The Stoic concept of the ruling faculty. Expression, academic but warm, like a teacher who genuinely loves the subject. The Stoics had a concept called the hegemonikon, the ruling faculty, the commanding self, the part of you that, in their view, is capable of stepping back from the noise of impressions and evaluating them. Imagine it this way. Think of your mind at 3 a.m. as a room full of people all talking at once. Fear is talking. Memory is talking. Ambition is talking. Regret is talking. Love is talking. Shame is talking. Hope is talking. Every voice is urgent. Every voice believes it is the most important one in the room. The hegemonikon is not one of those voices. It is the quiet one standing in the corner of the room, watching, capable of calling the meeting to order. Marcus Aurelius described this part of himself again and again in the Meditations. He called it his reason, his better nature, his inner self. He returned to it constantly, especially in moments of crisis, confusion, and emotional overwhelm. He treated the cultivation of this ruling faculty as the central task of his entire life. Not success, not victory, not reputation, not even happiness in the shallow sense. The cultivation of the inner faculty that could stay clear when everything else was turbulent. And here is what I want you to really absorb about this idea in the context of the 3 a.m. experience. The hegemonikon is not built in moments of ease. It is not strengthened by comfortable days and smooth routines. It is built precisely in those moments when every other faculty is running hot, when fear is loud, when grief is heavy, when confusion is thick, and you choose, deliberately, to pause and look. 3 a.m. is one of the greatest training grounds for the hegemonikon that life offers you. Not because waking up at night is good for your health. It is not, and the Stoics would not pretend otherwise. But because in that moment, stripped of distraction, stripped of social performance, stripped of the daytime persona you wear for other people, you are face to face with what is actually moving inside you. And that is information. That is data. That is the raw material of self-knowledge. And for a Stoic, self-knowledge is not a luxury. It is the foundation of everything. 5. The 3 disciplines and the sleepless night. Expression, organized, building momentum. The philosopher Pierre Haddad, one of the greatest scholars of ancient Stoicism, described the Stoic system as built around 3 core disciplines. These disciplines were not separate practices. They were 3 aspects of a single way of engaging with life. The first discipline was the discipline of desire, learning to want only what is genuinely good, learning to release the craving for what is not in your control. The second discipline was the discipline of action, acting in service of the community, of justice, of what is right, while holding loosely to the outcomes. The third discipline was the discipline of assent, the one we have already touched, the ability to pause before accepting an impression as true and binding. Now, let us bring all 3 disciplines into the 3 a.m. moment. Expression, slow down, become methodical. When you wake at 3 a.m. and the mind begins its circuit, the first thing that usually happens is the discipline of desire goes completely offline. The untrained mind immediately begins to want. It wants the anxiety to stop. It wants the problem to be solved. It wants certainty where there is only uncertainty. It wants the future to be safe. It wants the past to have been different. It wants sleep. It wants relief. It wants and wants and wants. And every wanting that is aimed at something outside your control tightens the spiral. The Stoic practice in this moment is not to stop wanting altogether. That is not possible, and it is not the goal. The practice is to redirect want. To ask, what can I actually want right now that is within my reach? What is genuinely available to me in this moment? And the answer, almost always, is something like clarity, presence, honesty with myself, the courage to look at what is actually true. Those things are available at 3 a.m. They are always available, and they are always in your power. Expression, shift to the second discipline. The second discipline of action seems irrelevant at 3 a.m. because there is nothing to do. You are lying in the dark. You cannot fix the problem. You cannot make the call. You cannot have the conversation. But the Stoics had a sophisticated understanding of action that went far beyond the external. They understood that there is inner action and outer action, and that the inner action, the turning of attention, the choosing of a response, the deliberate engagement with what is real, is often more consequential than anything you do with your hands. The inner action available at 3 a.m. is this. You can stop fighting the wakefulness. You can stop treating this moment as a malfunction and begin treating it as a message. You can take the energy you are spending on resistance and redirect it toward examination. That is an action, a profound one. And the third discipline, of ascent, is the heart of the 3 a.m. practice. Because what you are being asked to do in those quiet, dark hours is to look at each impression the mind generates and ask the single most powerful question in the Stoic toolkit. Is this true? Not. Is this comfortable? Not. Does this make me feel good? Not. Does this confirm what I already believe? Is this true? Expression. The question hangs in the air. 6. The things that visit at 3 a.m. Expression. Personal, as if sharing something real. I want to talk about the specific visitors that tend to show up at 3 a.m. because they are not random. They are remarkably consistent across human experience. The content differs. Your fear is not my fear, but the categories are almost universal. The first visitor is regret. Regret is perhaps the most common 3 a.m. companion. It arrives carrying photographs, specific moments, the things you said that you wish you had not said, the things you did not say that you wish you had, the roads you did not take, the version of your life that might have been. Stoic psychology has a specific and sophisticated response to regret. It does not say, just forget the past. It does not say, the past does not matter. It says something much more precise and honest. It says, the past is one of the few things that is truly, permanently beyond your control. What happened, happened. It is immovable. It is fixed. No amount of mental energy directed at it can change a single moment of it. But, and this is crucial, what you learn from it is entirely in your control. The response you shape from it, the course correction you make because of it, the person you become in response to it, that is all yours. Marcus Aurelius wrote this, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Regret that transforms into self-knowledge is wisdom. Regret that loops endlessly, revisiting the same moment without extracting any lesson, is suffering without purpose. At 3 a.m., when regret visits, the Stoic practice is to ask, what is this trying to teach me? And once you have the answer, once you have genuinely received the lesson, to allow the regret to complete its work and pass. Expression, move to the second visitor. The second visitor is fear. Fear at 3 a.m. is distinctive because it tends to operate in the future tense. It is rarely fear about the present moment, which is actually quite manageable. It is fear about what might happen, the diagnosis that might come back wrong, the relationship that might not survive. the job that might not last, the child who might be struggling in ways you cannot see, the money that might not be enough. The Stoics were extraordinary students of fear. They did not dismiss it. They dissected it. Seneca wrote extensively about the way anticipatory fear multiplies suffering far beyond what the actual event would produce. He observed, with a kind of gentle exasperation, that we suffer more in imagination than in reality, and that most of what we dread never arrives. But he did not stop there. He did not simply say, "Stop worrying, it probably will not happen." He recommended something braver, something called negative visualization, the deliberate, clear-eyed contemplation of the worst case. Not to torture yourself, not to spiral, but to look at the feared thing directly, examine it honestly, and ask, if this did happen, could I bear it? Could I find a way through? Have humans faced this before and found their footing? Almost always, the answer is yes. And in that yes, in that clear-eyed acknowledgement that you are more resilient than your fear believes, the fear loses a significant portion of its power. At 3 a.m., when fear visits, the Stoic practice is not to think happy thoughts. It is to look at the fear directly, name it precisely, and then ask whether you are capable of navigating whatever it is pointing at. You almost certainly are. Expression, move to the third visitor. The third visitor is grief. This one is the most tender, the most deserving of care. Grief visits at 3 a.m. because grief needs quiet. During the day, we push it down, we manage it, we perform okayness for the people around us. The structure of the day gives us reasons not to feel it fully. But at 3 a.m., the structure falls away, and grief rises like water finding its level. The Stoics had a relationship with grief that I think is deeply misunderstood. They did not teach that you should not grieve. Some of the most moving passages in Marcus Aurelius are expressions of grief, about friends he has lost, about the brevity of life, about the way time erases everything. What they taught was this: grief is natural. It is one of the appropriate responses to loss. It should be felt. It should not be suppressed. But they also taught that there is a kind of grief that becomes self-perpetuating, that ceases to be about the lost thing and becomes instead a way of punishing yourself, or a way of clinging to the past because the present feels too frightening to inhabit. At 3 a.m., when grief visits, the practice is to feel it, genuinely, without defense. Let it move through you rather than trying to dam it. The Stoics understood that emotions are not meant to be stored. They are meant to be processed. They move when you let them move. They become walls when you try to stop them. Feel the grief. Let it do its work. And then, gently, turn toward the question, what is still here? What is still real? What is still mine to live? Expression, fourth visitor. The fourth visitor is the voice that says, you are not enough. This one is subtle. It does not always announce itself clearly. Sometimes it disguises itself as practical concern. Sometimes it presents as ambition or drive. But underneath, at 3 a.m., stripped of the protective ego structures that the day provides, it often just says, you are not enough. You have not done enough. You are not who you should be by now. You are failing at the life you were supposed to have. Stoic psychology has a particular and powerful response to this voice that differs significantly from most modern self-help frameworks. Modern self-help tends to respond to this voice by arguing with it, by producing evidence to the contrary, by building up a counter-narrative of your accomplishments and strengths, by trying to replace the negative belief with a positive one. The Stoics had a different move entirely. They simply asked, enough for what? Enough according to whom? Because the standard that the inner critic is using is almost never examined. It is absorbed from somewhere, from parents, from culture, from comparison with others, from a vision of life that was handed to you by forces entirely outside yourself. And once you examine it, once you hold it up to the light and ask where it came from and whether you actually believe it, it often begins to dissolve. The Stoic question is not, am I enough? The Stoic question is, am I living in accordance with what I genuinely believe is right and good and true? Am I acting with virtue, with courage, with wisdom, with justice, with temperance, in the way that is available to me right now, given my actual circumstances? If the answer is yes, then the voice that says you are not enough is simply wrong. It is using the wrong measuring stick. And if the answer is no, if you genuinely are not living in accordance with your own deepest values, then the voice is not a critic. It is a compass, and 3 a.m. is the perfect moment to listen to it. Expression, pause, breathe. 7. The Stoic practice for the sleepless hour. Expression, practical, grounded, like giving a gift. I want to give you something concrete now. A practice. Not an abstract idea, but an actual sequence of engagement for the next time 3 a.m. finds you awake and wrestling. This is not a technique for falling back to sleep, though it may have that effect as a byproduct. This is a Stoic practice for engaging with the signal rather than fighting it. Step 1. Do not resist. The very first move is counterintuitive. Instead of trying to force yourself back to sleep, instead of reaching for the phone, instead of running from the wakefulness, simply acknowledge it. Say, inwardly, or even aloud if you can, I am awake. Something is here. I am going to pay attention. This single act of consent, of choosing to be present rather than fighting the moment, changes the quality of the experience immediately. You are no longer a victim of wakefulness. You are a student of it. Step 2. Name what is present. Not with elaborate psychological analysis, just with simple honesty. Fear, sadness, guilt, longing, uncertainty, anger, grief. Whatever is present, name it. The Stoics understood that naming something is one of the most powerful acts of the hegemonikon, the ruling faculty. When you name what is present, you step slightly outside of it. You become the one who is observing the emotion rather than simply being the emotion. You might say to yourself, I notice fear. I notice a heavy feeling in my chest. I notice that my mind keeps returning to a specific situation. I notice that something feels unresolved. Name without judgment. This is not a court proceeding. You are not prosecuting yourself. You are simply making an inventory of what is actually here. Step 3. Ask the central Stoic question. What is in my control? In relation to whatever you have named, whatever is present, ask honestly and specifically what is within the sphere of your agency. You cannot control what another person thinks or feels or decides, but you can control whether you speak honestly and clearly. You cannot control the outcome of a health situation, but you can control whether you make the appointment, whether you follow the guidance, whether you treat your body with care. You cannot control the economy or the market or the decisions of institutions, but you can control your spending, your saving, your skill building, your preparation. Find the edge of your actual agency and place all of your attention there. The rest, the things genuinely outside your control, practice releasing, not because they do not matter, but because holding tightly to things you cannot move wastes the energy you need for the things you can. Step 4. Receive the lesson. Ask, what is this signal trying to tell me? Sometimes the answer is, you have been avoiding a conversation that needs to happen. Sometimes it is, you are living in misalignment with a value you hold deeply. Sometimes it is, you are grieving something you have not allowed yourself to grieve. Sometimes it is, you are exhausted in a way that goes beyond sleep and you need to make a change. Whatever the message is, receive it with respect. It has waited for this quiet moment to be heard. Honor that. Step 5. Offer yourself the Stoic reminder. Before you return to rest, offer yourself this. You have faced difficulty before and found your way through. The resources you have are real. The capacity for reason within you is real. Whatever comes, you are not facing it without tools. You have the most important tool, the ability to think clearly, to choose your response, to act with virtue even in difficult circumstances. Marcus Aurelius returned to this reminder constantly, not as a boast, not as performance, but as a genuine anchoring of himself in what was real. You are capable, not of controlling everything, no one is, but of meeting what comes with clarity and courage. That is enough. That has always been enough. 8. The Stoic understanding of time. Expression, philosophical, expansive. There is one more dimension of the 3 a.m. experience that Stoic psychology illuminates in a way that I find genuinely beautiful, and it has to do with time. The Stoics had a relationship with time that was radically different from the modern Western relationship. In the modern framework, especially in the achievement-focused, productivity-obsessed culture many of us inhabit, time is primarily a resource to be optimized. Hours are units of output. Days are opportunities for accomplishment. Even rest is often justified as a recovery mechanism for future productivity. The Stoics had a completely different frame. For the Stoics, the present moment was the only real unit of time. Not as a kind of mindfulness cliché, but as a genuine metaphysical and practical claim. The past exists only as memory, which is a present moment experience. The future exists only as anticipation, which is also a present moment experience. The only place where life is actually happening is now. Always now. Only now. And 3 a.m. is one of the most purely now moments that daily life offers. Expression, wonder in the voice. Think about it. During the day, you are almost always partially in the future, planning, anticipating, scheduling, preparing, or partially in the past, reviewing, remembering, referencing, comparing. The daytime mind is rarely fully here. It is usually spread across time, touching multiple moments simultaneously. But at 3 a.m., the future is dark and inaccessible, and the past is very far away. There is just this room, this body, this breath, this mind, this moment. The Stoics would call this a gift. Not because waking up at 3 a.m. is pleasant. They were not foolish romantics, but because the present moment, fully inhabited, is the only place where the work of philosophy can actually be done. It is the only place where virtue is possible. It is the only place where you exist at all. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a great deal of it." And the irony, the beautiful, strange irony, is that one of the least wasted hours of a human day is often the one nobody wants. The one we call the dead hour. The one we spend fighting our way back to sleep. What if instead we spent even a portion of it fully present? Fully here? Not doing anything. Not fixing anything. Not even thinking particularly productively. Just genuinely, completely, present in the strange dark gift of the now. The Stoics called this the practice of being nowhere else, of not time traveling in the mind, of resting in the real. At 3 a.m., you have nowhere else to be. That is not a punishment. It is an invitation. 9. Stoic psychology and the modern mind. Expression, shift to broader cultural context. I want to take a step back and look at why this conversation matters particularly now. In this era, with the specific quality of mind that the contemporary world tends to produce. We live in what might be called the age of the overstimulated self. The sheer volume of information, input, demand, and stimulation that the average person navigates in a single day would have been genuinely incomprehensible to someone living even 100 years ago. We are surrounded by notification. We are perpetually reachable. We carry the entire weight of global news, social comparison, economic anxiety, and cultural noise in our pockets at all times. The Stoics developed their psychology in a world that was, by modern standards, almost eerily quiet. And yet, even in that relative quiet, they found the inner life turbulent enough to require a comprehensive system of management. What would Epictetus make of the modern smartphone? What would Marcus Aurelius make of social media? What would Seneca make of the 24-hour news cycle? I suspect they would not be surprised, Because the mechanics of the human mind that they observed and documented, the automatic impression, the impulsive assent, the misdirected desire, the unexamined fear, those mechanics have not changed. The technology has changed. The scale of the stimulation has changed. But the inner architecture is the same one they were working with. And that means their tools still work. Expression, build toward urgency. In fact, I would argue, and I genuinely believe this, that the Stoic practices are more urgently needed now than at almost any previous point in human history. Precisely because the conditions of modern life are so systematically designed to prevent exactly the kind of inward looking that 3 a.m. demands. The modern world profits from your distraction. Every time you reach for your phone in a moment of discomfort, something benefits. Every time you fill a moment of silence with noise, something is being sold. Every time you choose entertainment over reflection, something is confirmed about your habits and your attention. The 3 a.m. signal is, in this context, almost an act of biological rebellion, a systems override, the mind and body conspiring to create a moment of forced stillness, a moment when the algorithmic noise retreats and something quieter, something more real, is allowed to surface. To use that moment with Stoic discipline is not just a personal psychological practice. It is, in a small but meaningful way, an act of resistance against a culture that profits from your inner confusion. Expression, pause, let the weight of that settle. You have more power in those dark hours than you know. 10. The morning after the signal. Expression, gentler now, like the approaching dawn. Let us talk about what happens when morning comes. Because the 3 a.m. experience, whether it was 10 minutes or 2 hours, leaves something behind. Sometimes it leaves exhaustion. Sometimes it leaves a kind of raw, scraped feeling, like something has been uncovered. Sometimes, when you have engaged with it rather than fought it, it leaves something unexpected. Clarity. Not always. Not every time, but often enough to notice. There is a quality of the day that follows a genuine 3 a.m. engagement that is different from the day that follows a night of fighting your wakefulness into submission. When you have actually sat with the signal, when you have named what was present, examined what it was made of, received the message it was carrying, and rested in the clarity of what is actually in your control, the morning can feel different. Not easier, necessarily. The problems that were real at 3 a.m. are still real at 7 a.m. The fears that had substance at midnight still have substance at sunrise. But they are seen now. They have been named. You have looked at them directly rather than running from them. And something about being seen changes the quality of even difficult things. The Stoics described this as the result of philosophical practice, not the elimination of difficulty, but the change in your relationship to difficulty. What they were after was not a life without problems. They were after what Marcus Aurelius called an untroubled mind in the midst of the trouble. The 3 a.m. practice, done with genuine Stoic engagement, builds that. Not overnight, not in a single dark hour, but over time, across multiple encounters, across the accumulation of small moments of honest inward looking, something shifts. The signal becomes less frightening, not because the messages it carries become less serious, but because you become more capable of receiving them. You become, in the language of Stoicism, more yourself, more aligned with your hegemonic, more grounded in your own rational core. And that changes everything, not all at once, but truly, durably, in ways that compound over a lifetime. 11. What Marcus Aurelius would say to you at 3 a.m. Expression, become very still, very present, almost like a reading. I want to close by imagining something. Imagine that Marcus Aurelius is sitting with you, not the emperor, not the historical figure surrounded by the trappings of power and legacy, just a person, a genuinely thoughtful, genuinely struggling, genuinely trying person, who happened to be one of the most psychologically sophisticated human beings who ever lived. And it is 3 a.m. and you are awake, and he is there. What would he say? I think he would not say very much at first. He would sit in the quiet with you. He understood, better than almost anyone, that the first gift you can give someone who is struggling at 3 a.m. is not words. It is presence, companionship in the dark. But then, eventually, I think he would say something like this. You have woken because something in you knows that something needs attending to. That is not weakness. That is the wisest part of you doing its job. And you are more capable of this than you believe. You have faced hard things before and moved through them. Not because the hard things became easy, but because you were stronger than you thought you were, and because the rational faculty inside you, that quiet, clear, unshakable core, did not abandon you. It will not abandon you now. The fear you feel is real. The grief you feel is real. The confusion is real. Do not pretend otherwise. Do not armor yourself against your own experience. Feel it. Name it. Let it speak. And then ask, what is actually mine to do? What is actually in my power? Whatever the answer is, however small, however simple, that is where your energy belongs. Not in the things that belong to fate or to chance or to the choices of others. There, in the small, real, available territory of your actual agency. Do that. And rest. And when the morning comes, meet it as it is. That is all. That is enough. Expression, long pause. That is Marcus Aurelius. 2,000 years ago, riding alone in a tent at the edge of empire, talking directly to you. At 3 a.m. in the dark. Philosophy is not dead. It is not academic. It is not something that lives in books and universities and the past. It is alive in the dark hours, in the signal, in the part of you that knows something, in the moment of stillness before you reach for the distraction. It is there, waiting for you to use it. 12. The practice continued. Expression, warm but energized, moving toward close. We have covered a great deal of ground today, but Stoic philosophy is not a one-time encounter. It is a daily practice. A lifelong conversation with your own inner life. The 3 a.m. signal is one entry point, but there are others. There are the small moments of irritation during the day that the Stoics called opportunities for the discipline of ascent. There are the moments of desire for a thing, for an outcome, for recognition, that the Stoics saw as opportunities for examining what you actually value. There are the moments of interaction with other people, which the Stoics viewed as the primary arena for the practice of virtue. Every moment is practice. The 3 a.m. moment is just one of the most concentrated, most undeniable, most impossible to avoid ones. And if you take one thing from this video, if I could only leave you with one thought, let it be this. Your sleepless hours are not wasted. They are not malfunction. They are not your body or your mind failing you. They are a conversation, and you have, within you right now, the capacity to engage with that conversation at the highest level. Not perfectly, not painlessly, but genuinely, honestly, and with the kind of clarity that only comes when everything else has gone quiet. That clarity is yours. It has always been yours. The Stoics spent centuries trying to help humanity claim it. And now, in the 3 a.m. quiet, it is available to you. Expression, full sincerity now unhurried. Expression, direct, warm, genuine. Before we close today, I want to say something directly. If this video found you at a difficult time, if you were searching for something that made sense of what you are experiencing at 3 a.m., if you were looking for a framework that honored both the intelligence of your inner life and your capacity to engage with it, then I am genuinely glad you are here. This channel exists for exactly that reason. To take the deepest, most serious, most carefully developed wisdom in human history and bring it into the real texture of actual daily life. We do not do surface level here. We do not do quick fixes and morning routine shortcuts. We go all the way in, every time. And if that is what you are looking for, if you want to go deeper into Stoic psychology, into the architecture of the ancient mind, into the practices that have helped human beings face impossible circumstances with clarity and courage, then please subscribe to this channel right now. Subscribing is free. It takes 3 seconds, and it means that the next time we release a video, which we do regularly, you will actually see it. YouTube does not show everything to everyone. Subscribing and hitting the bell is how you make sure these conversations reach you. So please do that now. Subscribe, hit the bell. Let us keep this conversation going. And if this video meant something to you, if it gave you something useful, something that felt true, something that you will carry into the dark hours, share it. Send it to someone who you think might need it. Leave a comment below telling me what aspect of Stoic psychology has most changed the way you experience your own mind. I read every comment. I mean that. We are building something here. A community of people who take their inner lives seriously, who believe that the examined life is worth the effort, who know that the 3 a.m. signal is not the enemy. It is the teacher, and class is always in session. Final expression: quiet, steady, present. Thank you for being here. Take care of your minds. Take care of each other. And the next time you wake at 3 a.m., I hope you remember. Something in you knows. Listen.